This is an interesting weekend because it's Oscar weekend. Yes, yes? Anybody looking forward to watching Oscars? Anybody watch? Okay. Anybody boycotting the Oscars this weekend? Okay, there's people boycotting. Okay, interesting. So there's controversy, right? And you know, the thing about it is this year is not much different than most years, right? There's controversy this year. Jada Pinkett is calling for a boycott. I was thinking back to back in '86 when The Color Purple was nominated for 11 nominations, right? And there was controversy back then. And it was interesting because there were two levels of controversy. Now, first, the Hollywood chapter of the NAACP was protesting the movie itself because of its portrayal of black men. So there was controversy around the film in general. But then that same chapter got upset and protested when The Color Purple didn't win any Oscars, right? Right? It's very interesting, right? It's very interesting, right? That you know, this is, it's to me just a perfect example of how we approach our life so many times, right? And underneath this, I think what we want to talk about today, thinking about worthiness, is this idea of competition, right? And how competition and contests and awards and rewards get us in trouble and get us out of understanding what worthiness really is. So what we're going to talk about today is life is not an award show. Right? Life is not an award show, right? And so as I thought about this idea of competition, it brought me back to a passage in Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. In chapter 18, and the title is very clear. It says, "Since every request is granted, there is no competition." And Abraham says this: "It is not possible for someone else to receive the resources that were meant for you. And you cannot selfishly squander resources that were intended for someone else. All desires are answered, all requests are granted, and no one is left unanswered, unloved, or unfulfilled. When you stay aligned with your energy stream, the stream of well-being, you always win, and somebody else does not have to lose for you to win. There is always enough. There is no shortage. There is no lack. There is no competition for resources. There is only the allowing or disallowing of that which you are asking." Turn to somebody and say, life is not an award show. Life is not an award show. Now, while it feels good to affirm that in this moment, it feels good to say that, the reason that we have these awards show, the reason that we even feel the angst and anxiety and we get upset about what's currently going on with the lack of representation within the Academy Awards is because we have to create something outside of us to see how we treat ourselves, to see how we view life. The reason why it upsets us when we see that there are groups of people, not just black people, that are underrepresented, right, within the Academy Awards, we recognize that this is an example. It is a projection of how we treat ourselves, of how we do not recognize or affirm ourselves in our own lives, right? We create these competitions. We create these contests where only one person can win, right? Which means that there's something wrong with me and there's something special about him or her. But worthiness and specialness, they don't live in the same place. Because from the eyes of God, if anybody is special, everybody is special. There is no winner over here and this person did a better job, right? All of these things, that's not how God sees us. But see, as we get confused about whether or not we're worthy, as we get confused about worthiness, it's because we made our life into an award show. Yes. And what happens in award shows? There's three things. One, everyone is judged. Someone gets snubbed, someone gets forgotten, someone gets overlooked without fail, right? And only one person can win. Right? And it's interesting, this idea of everyone's judged. With award show, it starts from the very beginning. How many people like to watch the red carpet? Right? Who's wearing what? Oh, that dress, that's a hot mess. Right? Everyone is judged. Right? And it reminded me as I was thinking about it this week, this idea of judgment, self-judgment, and not understanding our worthiness, right? It reminded me of a moment that I experienced when I was in third grade. We had to do this assignment. We watched this story. It was called The Story of Me. And then based on that, we were using that as inspiration to write our own life story. You know, at that moment as a third grader, I had this long life to write about, right? And so one of the things that my teacher did, she wanted us to create a silhouette of our faces. So each of us stood in front of the projector screen, and she had the overhead projector, and so our shadow was there, and then she traced it. And then we cut it out, it was construction paper, and that was the cover for everybody's Story of Me project. And I remember I was cutting out my silhouette, and I didn't like it. Because these big old full lips, I was like, I don't like the way these lips look. That's how I look. And so I edited my lips. Right? As a young third grader, already judging and criticizing something that I absolutely love about myself today, right? Recognizing that in that moment of self-judgment and self-criticism, it starts so early. It starts so early. But again, this idea that life is not an award show, but everyone is judged. That's the first thing that happens with award show. That's the first thing that happens. Think about the times in your life that you judge yourself, that you treat yourself the same way that you may treat a celebrity that's outside of you, and so, you can talk about them, right? When you see them on the TV, look at a hot mess, right? You don't like the shoes that they have on. You don't like the jewelry that they have on, right? We're creating this projection outside of ourselves, and if we're aware enough, we can actually begin to see how we're actually treating ourselves, how we're actually speaking about ourselves. Now, Pastor Yolanda talked about this idea of displaced divinity, and last week I talked about the judge, right? And so I ask yourself, even in this moment, as we're not feeling good about the Academy Awards, as many of us are choosing to boycott, who's the Academy in your life? Who's that set of people, that set of rulers, that invisible set of people, the proverbial they, that is keeping you from getting your golden statue? See, because if life is an award show, everybody's judged. That means that you have a academy in your life that's judging you.